Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your steadfast leadership for many decades on this important topic. We have been following the developments in this region closely, but the growing crisis in North Africa and the Sahel has been a largely underemphasized threat to U.S. national security interests. For far too long, U.S. foreign policy has been focused on fighting terrorist groups like al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and the Middle East, yet we have looked away from the serious and growing threats coming from North Africa and the Sahel. These areas have become breeding grounds of extremist activity as these nations face many internal struggles, political instability, from dangerous droughts that are wiping out entire villages, to food shortages, human rights concerns, and domestic conflicts. This leaves large swaths of land ungoverned, and their borders are porous and easy to cross undetected. This fragility gives these extremist groups like al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, AQIM, Boko Haram, Ansar al-Din, and others the ability to roam freely in the most lawless region, setting up safe havens for terrorist activities and doing their dirty work, kidnapping, drug trafficking, arms trafficking. And this became evident in the fallout of the Arab Spring as Gaddafi fell and arms and fighters from Libya spread throughout the region. As Secretary Clinton said when she testified before us in January, there is no doubt that the Algerian terrorists had weapons from Libya. There is no doubt that the remnants of AQIM in Mali have weapons from Libya. The weak governments in North Africa and the Sahel don't have the will nor the capacity to confront these extremist groups, and that leaves the United States and our interests extremely vulnerable. The administration has yet to develop a plan or even recognize the severity of the threat. In his push to end the war in Afghanistan, the president justifies a withdrawal because he believes that, as he has repeatedly stated, that we are close to our goal of defeating al-Qaeda, that we have decimated al-Qaeda. Yet al-Qaeda is still as great a threat as ever and is expanding. We see them in North Africa. We see them in the Sahel. They are fighting in Syria. I guess they didn't get the same memo the president received. We have seen a disturbing alliance between drug traffickers and these terrorist groups in the region, allowing the terrorists to develop new resources to finance their illicit activities, while at the same time undermining those governments and our U.S. national security interests. Just last month, we saw a direct narco-terrorism link between African nations and the FARC, a U.S.-designated foreign terrorist organization. Several top figures from Guinea-Bissau's military, including the head of its armed forces and former head of the Navy, were arrested on cocaine and weapons trafficking charges. Both were accused of agreeing to store tons of cocaine and buying weapons for the FARC. These criminal activities undermine our security in our hemisphere and to provide the financing capabilities to terrorists. The administration needs to come to the realization that we are a long way still from defeating al-Qaeda and its influence. To confront these threats, we need a strategy that disrupts the operations of extremist networks, that denies them safe havens, and prevents an escalation of emerging threats by also targeting precursor conditions that foment instability. I look forward, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member Bass, to our witnesses today. Thank you so much for convening this timely hearing.
Thank you very much, Chairwoman Ros-Lehtinen.